Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR LSU, your home for daily content on your favorite team, Fighting Tigers of LSU. And we're proud to be presented by BetUS, where this football season, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. Now, enjoy the video. Every Tuesday, we visit with Sean Salisbury. Get him on Twitter, X at Sean Unfiltered. A few better than this guy. We're always glad to have him. Sean, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing awesome. Belated happy Thanksgiving to you and to yours. Got to watch a lot of football, obviously, this weekend. Hey, I want to start with the Garrett Nussmeier injury. I'm not sure if you saw the play, but went down on his shoulder. Like he's writhing in pain. They went and x-rayed him for what they thought was going to be a broken clavicle. We all thought the same thing. Well, he's out. He's done. And then, man, he's out for a series, and there he comes back. Sean, like, what did he play through? Like, and how do you come back? Just functionally here, like, take me into the locker room there, the quarterback who you think's got a broken clavicle. They're going to x-ray, and he ends up back in the game in 15 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes it may look worse than it is, and sometimes it doesn't look near as bad. I mean, it doesn't look near as bad as it may very well be in this case. Man, adrenaline's a powerful thing. So is grind and I guess the cheesy way to put it is want to. After they went through a losing streak and have won 2 in a row and questions have surfaced and stuff, the one thing that we've never questioned is his toughness, and it was on display again this past weekend. So I can remember blowing out my knee the first time, just to give you, or the second time, should I say, at Arizona State. And I tore my ACL, and I'd torn it on that field 2 years before when I was a sophomore starting. Same field, same side of the field.
Oh, God.
And so I dropped back, the first one was I got a guy hit. I was stepping into a throw, and he came through on a blitz, on an A-gap blitz, and hit me while I was throwing the football. My leg was going one way. His helmet hit my knee, and that was that. That was my MCL. And then 2 years later, same field, going the other way, I put my foot in the ground, cutting back inside, and on the grass, at Arizona State, I tore my ACL and my MCL again. So I can remember going to the sidelines, and I was so distraught, and my family was in the stands. So I was so distraught because it happened again, and it was my senior year. And I ended up having to redshirt. It was like the second game or third game of the season, whatever it was, second game, and I ended up having a redshirt and come back a fifth year. But that was supposed to be my senior year, and I can remember I went over to the sidelines, and it was I could walk on an ACL. It's the lateral part, and I said, "You tape this up like I'm a mummy. I'm not missing this game." And they taped up so stiff I couldn't bend my leg. It was like cutting the circulation off. I wanted that stiff. I said, I told Coach Ted Toner, I said, I'm going back out the next series. And they said it. I mean, and I did. And I went back out there, and the first time I said, and call a pass on the first play.
Oh my God!
I wanted to drop back to pass. It buckled, and it was done. I had no see. I couldn't do anything about it. And I ended up playing the rest of my career without an ACL. I came back the next year. My whole NFL career, I don't have an ACL in my right leg. So, but the one, my point is, it's not a pat on the back for me. It's there's certain things that happen. You say, not today. I'm not letting this happen. And, and he's probably awful sore this week, but there's something to be said for a guy who goes, and none of us know the severity of it or him. And another thing, Matt, is pain threshold for me may be different than you, maybe different than Garrett Nussmeier, maybe different than somebody else. And don't kid yourself, pain threshold in a football game matters.
We'll get right back to the video, but want to take this opportunity again to tell you about our great partner here on AFR LSU, BetUS. Here this football season, it's championship weekend ahead. You got 9 football games to feast on, and the best place to place your bets is at BetUS, where you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next 2 deposits, up to $2,000. Let's go lock in our bet. No LSU game this weekend, but let's bet on the SEC championship game. Hit the football drop down. We'll choose the college football odds page, and here's every conference championship game. So, Georgia, Texas, rematch of the game from Austin where Georgia bludgeoned Texas. They always say, tough to beat a good team twice and all that stuff. You're going to give me Georgia and points against a team they already beat on the road when they're at a neutral site in Atlanta with a partisan Georgia crowd? Yeah, I'll take Georgia and the points in this one. So we'll go over here to how much we're going to risk. Let's put 100 bones on it. Will it place my bet? It'll ask me to confirm. And just like that, a couple of taps, and we got our bet locked in. You can do the same thing. Remember, 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150. Now enjoy the rest of the video.
I watched a guy in a preseason game get his finger half torn off, sewed it up on the sidelines because he wanted to make sure he made the team, was playing in the second half. And that's honest to God truth. So we've seen Ronnie Lott cut a finger off to play. And I'm not comparing this, but it just pain threshold. And if they say, if you're not going to hurt it worse, and you've heard him say he didn't care if he hurt it worse. And there's also something to say you don't want to let teammates down. The game mattered to him. It was Oklahoma. It was at home. They'd had some struggles. They were a national championship hopeful team 6 weeks ago, all those things. And his toughness will never be in question. And you got to have a little emotional and mental toughness, not just physical toughness to fight through the pain. But that adrenaline's a pretty amazing thing. And I would imagine whether it's a harness or whatever, getting healthy, if he was moving, if they had to play this week, it'd be a different story. Yeah. So, and put a harness on or what have you. But I admire his toughness, and football is not for the faint of heart. Neither is that position.
Yeah, man. He said he's going to play in the bowl game, but his future is a little up in the air right now, so he hasn't decided if he's coming back. What do you think, man? Is Garrett Nussmeier an NFL ready player right now?
I think football IQ and NFL ready. Yeah, NFL ready in a top 10 pick, top 15 pick. No, I think a lot of us thought going on that he was a fast riser and was rising up. I don't think this is the only reason if I was him that I would come out is because he didn't reach the goals they wanted to for LSU football team. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fairly weak draftable class when it comes to, are you taking somebody in the top 10? I do. I don't think so you may move up slots, but also he comes back next year, like a guy like Jaden did, or, the fella, whether you're draft eligible or not, come back and get an extra year of work on a team that, LSU is always going to have players, a chance to look at the tape and see what you did wrong. And to have somebody go out, talk to the scouts and those people, that, front office people and coaches of what they feel about your game needs improvement. And why not come back and go try to play and go win the thing again next year? So I get why you'd leave, but I think his value will go up. There's nothing wrong with staying. He's a smart guy, obviously good football DNA. I think cutting down on turnovers and careless mistakes will help him, because you don't want the last 5 weeks to affect, I saw him on tape, I didn't like this game, or I didn't like that game, but I love this one. You kind of like a clean slate. So I understand the money thing. If you're going to he would not be a top 10 pick now. He just wouldn't. And I don't think there's many of them that are. Maybe yours is in there and Sanders, but I don't think there's a lot of them. I don't. I think this is now it may end up being a great quarterback class, but as far as none of them I would take in the first 5 picks. Quarterbacks. Okay. I wouldn't touch one of the first 5 picks today. Now, off seasons, working out in shorts and a t-shirt, but I think he could benefit from another year of full season of starting, of going out there and letting it rip and cutting down on a few of the mistakes, but continuing to do the things he does well. I think it would benefit him if he wants to leave and go play because he's worn out and tired, and they could use him. Hurley, the young quarterback, and they missed out on the transfer, or the guy who decommitted, and now they got a young quarterback. I think the stage is set. I think it'd be a tough decision to leave unless you were going to be a first-round pick. I don't think today he's a first-round pick. You asked me that 8 weeks ago, I might have thought different, but I think there's still some, I don't want to say question marks, but still some things he can improve on. If he's questioning and he's leaning, I would suggest lean and get another year of playing at LSU.
Hey, who do you like? Not saying like who you like. I don't care about other people's draft grades or mocks or anything like that. Just you as a guy that trains and works with quarterbacks, like in this class, if it's the one everyone's taught, Sanders, Ward, Nussmeier, you mentioned Quinn Ewers, like who do you like in this class?
And Matt, what I do every year is around in January, once the season's over and the championship games and stuff, I'll get like 7 or 8 quarterbacks that a sleeper, and then 7 or 8 guys that are everybody's talking about, or at least that has been in the know, and a guy we're not talking about a bunch, and I'll get tape and watch them and kind of start to just take notes of myself. I mean, it's not like I'm sending in a draft grade, but just notes
Right.
about when I go on shows, how I feel about it. And I've watched most of them play multiple times, but then now just studying it where there's not 15 games you got to watch and study it. And I will do that. But just on the surface, from the naked eye and watching players this year, going into the season, Carson Beck was so highly regarded. I loved his game. He's too careless with the ball. I can't. To me, one thing for me, when I'm drafting a quarterback, I can't have a lot of ifs around his name. If you're drafting him in those first 15 picks, there's got to be, when you line up remember the Jimmy the Greek and Brent Musburger, the pro, the check mark on which side when you break down the pros and the cons. I can't have a bunch of ifs on the if side on a first-round quarterback, especially a top 15, top 10 pick. And I think there's a lot of those surrounds Beck. I think Quinn Ewers has some. Now, you're talking about raw talent. You need a guy when he's hot, streaky, but when he's hot, Ewers can make every throw. And I think he's probably a first-round pick, but I don't think he's a top 5 or top 10 pick today. In the offseason, I'll have to do it. The truth is, and Ward's a big-time playmaker. He also gets careless with the ball, but he's amazing at overcoming mistakes. I think the kid in Indiana has got some potential. I like his accuracy. Not a lot of people talk about him. For my money, day-to-day, what I saw this year, and a guy like Dylan Gabriel's a great college quarterback. He's a grinder. I think he's physically limited on Sundays. That doesn't mean he can't play there, but he's not a guy. He's a guy you take a flyer on in the middle round, 4th round, and say, man, leader, played a lot of college football, experienced, and see what happens. Sanders is the best I saw this year. He's accurate. He proved – I'm just talking about on the field as a thrower and a football player. He got hit a million times.
Yeah.
He knew it didn't matter. He'd keep them in games throwing it. The offensive line is not the strength of their team. Today, he's the best I saw consistently. I think that, the Ewers has got a rocket launcher arm. Ward's a tremendous playmaker. Beck, when he's going good, but there's ifs that surround him. He just, there's something missing from him that bothers me. He's regressed as a football player. But, hell, he gets hot here. Who knows? And in a weak class, maybe at the top, maybe, there's 3 or 4 first-rounders. I don't know. But to me right now, if I had to draft today and you said, Sean, you can't take Hunter, you have to take a quarterback, and your next 5 years depend on it, I'd have to take him first of the guys. But I don't think any of them are worthy of the first pick of the draft.
Okay. Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how that all plays out.
And you know how I feel about Nussmeier. I've covered that. I think you can work with him, but I can't. I don't think he's franchisable just yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have the same conversation next year. But Sanders has he can move big, physical, can throw it. He was questioned when he was at Jack State. Well, can he do it at a bigger level? He did it at a bigger level, and he did it against good teams. He right now, I think, would probably lead the pack as far as if you're going to risk, that's the risk.
Man, I think everybody here is hoping Nussmeier chooses to come back and hits that.
I agree.
Hits that kick like we saw with Daniels and with Burrow from year 1 to year 2.
And aren't they the I don't mean to interrupt you, man.
No.
But the comparisons about Burrow in his first year there, and then the bowl game, and then coming back, and all of a sudden the light switch went on. A guy who got transferred from Ohio State. All with the story's obvious to your folks there, but Nussmeier can have some of that. I mean, that's what he could attain. Now, I don't know if you'll ever have a season like Joe, but that's ridiculous. But to even get close would be great. And then you can dispel some of the carelessness that he has an opportunity. Some guys are out of it. They don't have it. This is it. They got to go to the draft. He's got the opportunity to make that decision. Options are important. I think he's a player.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.